For many decades, the scientific community held a remarkably straightforward view of human evolution. It was envisioned as a clean, simple, and seemingly solved progression. A direct, unbroken line from our most ancient ancestors all the way to modern humans. But in 2010, this neat narrative was fundamentally shattered. A pivotal moment arrived when a research team, meticulously sequencing the genome extracted from a tiny 40,000-year-old finger bone, uncovered something previously deemed impossible. It turned out that modern humans hadn't merely coexisted with other archaic human species. We had, in fact, interbred with them. Even more astonishing, fragments of their ancient DNA persist within us, flowing through the veins of humanity today. Fast forwarding to 2023, a new revelation emerged when researchers analyzing Japanese genomes made a discovery so profound. It sent genuine shockwaves reverberating throughout the scientific community. It was revealed that the Japanese population carries genetic traces from an entirely extinct human species, one that absolutely nobody had anticipated finding. This wasn't Neanderthal DNA, nor was it from the previously known Denisovans. This was something altogether different. A true ghost population that vanished without leaving a single fossil. Its only enduring legacy lies in the cryptic fragments of genetic code, hidden deep within the genes of millions of people. This isn't some dusty relic of ancient history. This is a story intimately connected to you, to your own deep ancestry. If you're captivated, subscribe now. For the better part of the 20th century, the prevailing narrative of human origins was deceptively straightforward. It posited that Homo sapiens first evolved in Africa roughly 300,000 years ago, subsequently spreading across the globe and systematically replacing every other human species. Neanderthals in Europe? Gone. Homo erectus in Asia? Extinct. This model, famously known as the out-of-Africa theory, painted modern humans as inherently special. Yet, subtle hints always lingered. By the 1990s, geneticists meticulously mapping human DNA began to observe something peculiar. Individuals from various regions exhibited genetic variations that appeared far too ancient. Then, in 2010, Svante Pääbo's team achieved the impossible. They successfully sequenced the entire genome of a Neanderthal. When this ancient code was meticulously compared with modern human DNA, the results were astonishing. Undeniable, exact matches. Suddenly, sections of authentic Neanderthal code were found nestled within the genomes of people living today. Specifically, Europeans and Asians were found to carry between 1% and 4% Neanderthal DNA. The conclusion was astounding. Sometime between 50,000 and 60,000 years ago, our Homo sapiens ancestors didn't merely encounter Neanderthals, they formed intimate relationships and had children with them. The textbooks were fundamentally mistaken. We hadn't simply replaced other human species, we had absorbed them. And yet, the story of Neanderthals was merely the opening chapter. Then, in 2008, Russian archaeologists, excavating the remote Denisova cave in Siberia, unearthed a seemingly insignificant tiny finger bone. This delicate bone belonged to a young girl who died 40,000 years ago. When sequenced, they expected to find another Neanderthal, and they stumbled upon an entirely distinct human species, never before identified. They were named Denisovans. Despite their genetic distinction, the Denisovans left behind an astonishingly sparse fossil record. Virtually everything we have learned stems solely from their remarkably preserved DNA. Far from being a small, isolated group, Denisovans were discovered to be remarkably widespread across Asia. While modern Europeans prominently carry Neanderthal DNA, populations in Oceania in Southeast Asia harbored significant amounts of Denisovan genetic material scientists had uncovered, the second ghost population. For many years, Japanese geneticists had long recognized the distinctiveness of their own population's genetic makeup. Isolated on an island chain for millennia, The Japanese genome acted like a time capsule. In 2019, a groundbreaking endeavor was launched by the Riken Center for Integrative Medical Sciences. They meticulously sequenced the genomes of over 180,000 Japanese individuals. What they uncovered was profoundly unexpected. While the Japanese genome displayed evidence of Denisovan ancestry, the observed patterns didn't align with other Asian populations. The Denisovan DNA was distributed in a distinctly different manner, and crucially, some of it did not match any known Denisovan samples recovered from Siberia or Tibet. Then, in 2023, a team spearheaded by Dr. Yoichi Shinoda published a landmark paper. They had pinpointed specific segments of DNA within Japanese genomes that originated from an archaic human species. Yet this DNA was demonstrably not Neanderthal, nor was it from the Siberian Denisovans. It was from something else entirely, a distinct ghost population. This was a human species that once thrived somewhere in East Asia, interbred with the direct ancestors of modern Japanese people, and then, inexplicably, vanished. While tentatively labeled the East Asian Denisovan lineage, it was so genetically distinct that it could represent an entirely separate species. It diverged from the Siberian Denisovans over 280,000 years ago. This wasn't merely a regional variant. This represented an entirely separate branch on the sprawling tree of human evolution. The estimated timing of this interbreeding proved equally surprising. Researchers pinpointed the period of admixture to between 40,000 and 50,000 years ago. This suggests that when the ancestors of modern Japanese people were migrating into East Asia, they lived alongside this enigmatic ghost population for potentially thousands of years, a period long enough to form bonds, and for those hybrid offspring to pass down these unique genes to us today. So, what specific genetic legacies did these ancient humans bequeath? The answer is simultaneously fascinating and profoundly unsettling. Crucially, this archaic DNA is concentrated in targeted regions, controlling immune function, metabolism, and brain development. Let's explore immunity. One robust signal is found in the HLA region. These genes orchestrate how your immune system identifies invading pathogens. When early modern humans migrated into Asia, they faced a formidable array of new diseases. In stark contrast, the indigenous archaic humans had evolved robust resistance. By interbreeding with them, modern humans inherited their hard-won immunity. Remarkably, that ancient immunity functions actively within Japanese populations today. Specific immune genes can be directly traced back to Denisovan-like ancestors, such as the HLA B73 variant, conferring enhanced resistance to prevalent viral infections. Evolution actively preserved them because they offered a tangible survival advantage. But immunity is just the beginning. Researchers unearthed archaic DNA associated with fat metabolism and cold adaptation. The East Asian Denisovan population almost certainly inhabited mountainous, high-altitude regions where temperatures plunged below freezing. In such environments, they required bodies capable of efficiently storing fat and enduring extreme cold. The archaic genes provided a crucial advantage, regulating fat metabolism during food scarcity. Intriguingly, modern Japanese populations in northern regions exhibit higher levels of these cold adaptation genes. Furthermore, several archaic DNA segments are situated near genes intricately involved in brain development, like NOVA1, present in approximately 8% of Japanese genomes. The precise functional implications of this brain gene variant remain largely unclear, but its persistence suggests it performs something vital. This leads us to the profound conundrum. We possess undeniable genetic proof of this archaic human species, yet paradoxically, we have absolutely zero fossils. How can an entire species leave such clear genetic footprints, but utterly no physical trace? The explanation likely lies in the unforgiving combination of time and environment. This population lived in regions with abysmal preservation conditions, humid subtropical climates, highly acidic soil, dense jungles, and relentless monsoons. In such environments, bones decompose into dust within decades. We are searching for needles in a haystack that decomposed 40,000 years ago. But there exists yet another, perhaps even more unsettling, possibility. What if we have, in fact, already discovered their fossils, but simply failed to recognize them for what they truly are? Across Asia, archaeologists have, for decades, unearthed human remains that stubbornly refuse to fit neatly into any established categorical box. They found skulls exhibiting unusual features, teeth that appear almost modern but not quite, and bones dating to the correct time periods yet displaying strange, enigmatic anatomical quirks. For years, these perplexing fossils were often dismissed as mere outliers, possibly deformed individuals, measurement errors, or simply regional variations of Homo erectus or archaic Homo sapiens. But what if these weren't errors at all? What if, instead, they represented hybrids, the direct offspring of interbreeding, embodying a mosaic of features from both distinct species? In a compelling development in 2019, researchers decided to re-examine a particularly enigmatic skull that had been unearthed in Harbin, northern China, all the way back in 1933. This skull, subsequently named Harbin Man, presented a baffling array of features that defied easy categorization. It simply didn't align neatly with Homo erectus, Neanderthals, or even modern humans. Its cranial capacity was notably large, indicating a brain size potentially comparable to our own. Yet its face was strikingly broad and flat, the eye sockets massive, and the brow ridge pronounced but remarkably smooth. Unfortunately, direct DNA analysis proved impossible due to the bone's degraded condition and decades of contamination from handling. However, utilizing advanced computational modeling and meticulous comparative anatomy, scientists were able to reconstruct a plausible likeness of what the owner of that remarkable skull might have looked like in life. The reconstructed image was, in a word, chilling. Harbin Man appeared undeniably human, yet somehow not quite. The face was markedly wider than that of any modern human population, yet simultaneously more refined than Homo erectus. The skull itself was long and low, but paradoxically housed a brain as large as our own. If you were to encounter this individual walking down a modern street, you would instinctively sense that something was off. Yet you might struggle to articulate precisely what that something was. Some researchers now theorize that Harbin Man could potentially be a member of this elusive East Asian Denisovan population, or perhaps a hybrid resulting from interbreeding between that population and early modern humans. This profound biological reality is now being discovered by ordinary individuals every single day. When an American orders a commercial DNA testing kit and reviews their ancestry results on a laptop, they don't just see a breakdown of their modern ethnicity, they see their Neanderthal percentage. They are learning they carry genetic material from vanished species. For some, it's a point of pride. For others, deeply unsettling. The old, rigid categories of race and ethnicity simply no longer hold true. You cannot draw clean lines when everyone is a complex mixture of ancient lineages. Yet, the biological differences remain functional. This has profound real-world implications for medicine and public health policy across diverse global populations. The more we sequence genomes, the more ghost populations we uncover. This East Asian lineage might represent a third distinct Denisovan species. Were there similar ghosts in Africa, Europe, the Americas? Almost certainly. If populations carry DNA from species not fully modern human, what does that make us? We are absolutely Homo sapiens, but that 3% archaic DNA is profoundly functional. We are the descendants of multiple human species that merged. The very boundaries between species are incredibly fluid. We didn't conquer the world alone. We carry their essential genes into a future they never witnessed. Next week, we'll break down the Tibetan high-altitude gene. Subscribe so you don't miss it.